since I have made a book video, and so I thought I would sit down and chat to you a bit about my mid-year reading reflections. I'm going to answer just a few questions from the mid-year reading tag here, and I will link below the booktubers that originated that tag. It's a little bit different from the mid-year freakout tag, and I just wanted to cover a few things that I've observed so far from my reading for 2021. So how many books have I read so far in 2021? The number is 36. Very soon to be 37. I think that my reading has definitely been a bit slower in 2021, which I kind of anticipated at the beginning of the year. But June especially was a really slow month for me. I did not read my average, and that was just because it was a very busy month in a lot of other ways. My favorite book out of all that I've read so far this year was The Great Believers by Rebecca Makkai. I just loved the book so much. I wanted to be reading it all the time, and I was actually listening to it. And then I started to slow myself down because I didn't want to finish the book too fast. I loved all the characters. I loved being in the world that was created in this book. In case you're unfamiliar, it's a dual timeline, 1986 in Boys Town, Chicago, which is the area of Chicago at that time where there were a lot of gay men living, and 2015 in Paris, prior to the set of terrorist attacks that happened there, I believe in the summer of that year. And it follows the same, a character who was also in the 1986 timeline, as she's coming to terms with all of the devastation and death and loss that happened during the height of the AIDS epidemic at that time. I thought that it covered the art world in a really wonderful way. So there's a lot of art, there's a lot of artists in this, there's a lot of art history references, there are a lot of the inner workings of a university gallery and how they acquire art to learn about in the story. And then you also have a lot of really great interpersonal relationships that are happening between the characters, and a lot of growth that is happening in all the characters as the novel progresses. There's, I listened to a few reviews about it that were a little less favorable than my own experience with the book, but I thought it was so sympathetic and empathetic to the horrible way that gay men were treated when they were dying, and the way that society was stigmatizing them, but also the empowerment within the group of men themselves to fight and to demand to be heard and to be recognized and to be helped. And so there was so much going on in it, and I thought I liked it all. So my favorite book so far. The most disappointing read I've had this year so far is Norma by Sofi Oksanen. I really enjoyed her book, The Purge, and so I wanted to read another book by her, but I didn't find Norma to be very enthralling at all, and I think it had a lot of potential to take you on this amazing journey of this woman whose hair grows continuously, and she has to cut it and hide it and live in society and try to appear normal even though she has this hair that can feel emotions, and she has these kind of supernatural abilities. But in the end, I found it to be a quite forgettable novel and a bit convoluted and trying to do too many things in a package that just didn't work for me. What genre have I read the most this year? I've read 21 fiction books and 15 nonfiction. Actually, there's probably 20 fiction. I did read one book of poetry, and 15 nonfiction. So I've been reading a lot of nonfiction this year. A favorite new author for me is Akwaeke Emezi, but I remember when I started the audiobook for The Death of Vivek, I instantly felt connected to Akwaeke Emezi's writing. And so that's what put them in this category for me, is that really the flow of the writing, the world building, the way with words that they have really compelled me right away. What book surprised me the most so far? That is Apples, Etc., an artist's memoir by Gathie Falk. And Gathie Falk is a local British Columbia artist. And the thing that surprised me the most was some of the parts of her life that I was not aware of. When I saw her in person, it was at a gallery opening, and she's this lovely little 80-year-old woman. And then I realized that when I was reading the memoir, that she had been married to an ex-con and like did kind of some, crazy kind of wild things in her life. And that really surprised me because I had not anticipated that that was part of her story. So that was my biggest reading surprise thus far. So lastly, I'm just going to talk about the rest of the year and my priorities. I think this year, what has been proven to me very clearly is that it's very hard to predict my time for reading right now. And I knew that going into the year that it was going to be a bit up in the air, but things, have even gotten more so, especially for the month of June. But I think the month of September will also be very complicated. And so I have a few commitments. I did sign up to be a judge in the BookTube Prize this year. I believe I'm going to sign up to do the final round of fiction, which will begin at the end of July, so for August and September. And then I have 5 books on my 5-star predictions list, which I am reading through, and 5 books on my 1970s lit project, which I am reading through. So those books, and I believe in each of the groupings, one of them I have 4 left, and the other one I have 3 left, about to read the third right now. So I will have 2 left after that. Once I've read those, and I'll have the videos to update on those, I also have to continue my art research. So I'm doing a lot of reading, which is probably why I have such a high nonfiction amount of reading this year. For my first piece, I've actually created lists of books for each piece in this series, which will prolong making the work, I'm sure. But it is also really fun for me, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm just going to keep going with that, and hopefully get through the first set of books that are pertaining to the first piece by September, because I want to be working on it in September. And I will continue reading. I've been reading about one of those books per month, and I might start doubling them up as the end of the year progresses. And otherwise, I think I'm just going to keep reading. And I really have been enjoying being a bit more free with my book choices, and really sticking to books around artists and art and sense of place, which, have just been really making me feel very fulfilled and connected to my reading this year so far. So I think that's all I have to say for my mid-year check-in. I'm, of course, as always, at any time that you do these kind of mid-year check-ins, blown away by the fact that we're already halfway through the year. The time moves ridiculously fast, and I think the only thing that I can predict to keep going for the rest of the year is kind of the same trajectory, where I think I'll have some months where I'm reading more, such as at the end of July, beginning of August, I have some time off work, so I'll probably be reading a lot more in those weeks, and then some months where I'm going to be struggling to read much, which is September, for example, where I'm going to be very, very busy, and there's a lot of changes coming, And so I anticipate that I will be potentially reading less than average for that month. So I hope that you have had a great reading year so far. I'd love to hear a highlight of your reading year in the comments down below. And I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.